Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Omar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire. Today, we are joined by a true innovator in the food and hospitality industry. He was the youngest ever president of Talk Blanche. He is a qualified chef with over 25 years of experience. He is the founder of Derma Consulting and Stretch Group. Dario D'Agostino, welcome to Dining Room Stories.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you for having me here.
Dario, let's start with the beginning. What inspired you to pursue a career in the hospitality industry, and how did you get involved in the industry first?
Well, very good question. I started, I think, when I was about 12, 13 years old with my uncle back home in Italy, cooking on the village festivals. So we used to run barbecues, and I was there always involved with the food, cutting bread, cooking on the grill, or whatever it was. And then I basically started my career in a local pizza shop. And then fast forward 30 odd years, I'm still in the industry, which I love. And it's been my dream, it's been my passion. And then, of course, I diversified a bit over the years, but everything I do is always food related.
Where are you from originally, from Italy?
Originally, I'm from a small village in Abruzzo, central Italy, called Castiglione a Casauria. It's a very tiny village. And I left when I was very young to pursue my dream. And my dream was in hospitality.
And what brought you to Australia, and why Australia?
Australia in those days when I came here was not a place where everybody was coming to, like maybe it is today.
When was it?
2002. I came in Australia because it was the furthest place in the world. I wanted to go far. I wanted to go where I thought was possible to achieve a dream. And I think I made the right decision.
And what did you do when you came to Australia first? Where did you start working? Tell us about your experience, your story.
Yes. As soon as I arrived in Melbourne, I went to work in a small restaurant in Kew with an amazing Italian family. And I couldn't speak English, so it was the only way to start. And the owners, they got me back in the kitchen with basic prep. And I had to learn English. And between the wife and him and the daughter, they taught me English. And slowly, I went from washing and prepping to cooking. And I guess that was my stepping stone to what then became my career as a restaurateur and chef.
And since you arrived in Australia in 2002, have you seen Australia change in terms of food and in the food and hospitality industry? Have you seen it change it? Oh.
Absolutely. Back in 2002, I guess Australia was still evolving. Not many trends were here. I still remember the menu were Italo-Australian. There was a bit of a mixture. There was some dishes which I never saw before. But in the last 20 years has evolved. And, as everybody knows, Australia or Melbourne especially, is the capital of the food in the world. We got the best chefs, the best restaurants. There's been a massive evolution of the food industry, starting from, a basic pasta with Napoli sauce 20 years ago. Today we got some amazing Italian restaurants. And of course I speak for the Italian cuisine. That's what I think I'm good at. We got an amazing evolution, and we got, I guess, the best on offer. Sometimes even better than Italy, I think.
I believe so. And you own a restaurant, Mama Boy's, in Brunswick. How is it going?
Yes. So Mama's Boy is one of my last projects in the hospitality industry. I owned many restaurants. This one I dedicated to my mother. So Mama's Boy is because, as you know.
You are a Mama's boy.
Yes. Every Italian man is a Mama's Boy. It's a hub where we foster mamas, where we foster Italian cuisine, especially from Abruzzo, from the region where I'm coming from, and from the village where I come from. So we got very traditional dishes. And look, it's been a tremendous experience. The restaurant is doing okay, but with a lot of difficulties. The industry has changed a lot, like I just said. We're facing now many challenges. It's not just serving food or cooking food, but it's about meeting people expectation, a change of generation. The new generation have different kind of expectation, and we got to educate them. I think educating is still very strong, and that's what we really do well. We give an experience. And when people come, they don't just come to eat, but they come to have their experience. They want to go home feeling like special. And that's, I guess, what we are supposed to do. And that's what we're trying to do.
It's incredible that you say that, because that's what I wrote in my book, Creating Emotions. So I'm glad that you are saying the same things.
Yes, look, you are an inspiration. And thank you for the book. I
Thank
received
you.
it today as a present. I much appreciate it. Absolutely. I think creating experiences and creating emotion is everything. Because you want to go home and you want to remember. You want to say, I've been to that restaurant, food was great, service was great, but I felt some sort of emotion. And I think it's crucial.
And all these changes that you've seen, have you seen them because of COVID, or you've seen those changes happening before COVID as well?
Look, it's an interesting question. I think we got to be a little bit pragmatic about it. COVID definitely was something that nobody expected, was a challenge, was difficult. It has created a lot of problem past, prior, during. We're still facing them. But I think the changes was already in the pipeline. COVID was just an elevation of the problem. Has definitely changed the dynamics, has definitely changed the way that people think, the way that people behave. But I am not sure yet if it's the only reason.
I'm seeing that everybody is in a box right now. Like nobody goes over the 5 kilometers rule that we had during COVID, especially from suburb to suburb. Like all the restaurants, if you belong to Brunswick, you're never gonna go out of Brunswick. South Yarra, the same. Do you see the same things happening?
Yes, that's very much so. I think COVID has given people the opportunity to sort of discover their own area. And, Melbourne is an amazing city. We got amazing places, no matter which suburb you are in. There is so much to offer. I mean, we are in Brunswick. It's a cool, trendy, up-and-coming area. There's a lot of Greek and Italian heritage in it. But now we're seeing a lot of other cultures coming in. And people, yes, they don't travel anymore. People now walk everywhere. People now want to stay in the area, which is good and bad. It's good because obviously you're maximizing the patronage of the people around you. But it's also bad because you want also other people to come over and and have some sort of increase of bumps on seat or whatever else. But people have become very complacent, so people want to stay where they belong. And if that suburbs offer so much, for them is way much easier to stay there.
Do you see we are losing the sense of community? Like I've seen it in my restaurants. You don't have that community that you had before. People are a little bit more detached. They look for things more online than offline. Do you see the same things? Or?
Absolutely. Technology, where someone told me not long ago, where there is progress, there is also regress. Technology is important. It's the future. AI, ChatGPT. But hospitality and what we do, I'm not sure if it can match all this digital platform, this digital presence. And the sense of community is probably diluted in the last 2 or 3 years because of technology has assisted us in becoming more dependent from the phone. So now we can reach anywhere, everywhere with the phone. We can get food delivered at home. I think I was telling you before, people buy one onion online and they don't want to walk 300 meters to the shop. The community is suffering because, of course, there is not that chit-chat. There is not that kind of, hey, how are you? What do you need? What can I do for you? Which makes everything very difficult because obviously, especially at the example us Italians, we like to touch, feel, we want to smell things, we want to experience that. And even walking down the shop to buy a carrot is an experience for us, yeah?
Absolutely.
So there is a big change in the community, in the kind of interaction. And I guess technology is contributing to it. And of course, it's got its pros and cons, but it's still an interesting space, and we need to see how we're going to adapt to it.
And how are you going to adapt to it with your businesses? You're the founder of a very successful group called Stretch Group that owns, a big portfolio of supermarkets, gelaterias, restaurants. Like, what do you see? What direction do you give to your company?
You see, it's a very challenging situation to be in because we need to be able to have a right balance of technology, old-fashioned approach, old school technique in selling, new technique of selling. It's very complicated. It's very complicated to address the staff. It's very complicated to address the client. But what I experienced, and again, this is just my personal experience, at the end of the day, people still love that kind of approach, the face-to-face approach. People still want to receive a phone call from you. They don't want just an email. People still want you to go and see them, which in certain industry is not required. But in my industry, in my field, it's still vital. Because if you, for example, buy a piece of equipment from us that costs, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, you cannot just do that over an email. You still want to go there. You still want to make sure that you give a solution to the customer, especially because they're purchasing something very expensive. Sometimes we sell a piece of equipment that's worth as much as a house. So you can't do it just over the phone, over a text message, WhatsApp, Instagram. But on the other side, we have ice creameries where it's all about social media, where people don't want to talk. People want to order via the platform. So we're still adapting. We're still finding the balance, but we're still learning. We're still learning. Also, I am old school generation. So I grew up without technology. So now for me to adapt to technology, it's a challenge. And we got to pivot towards the balance where everything will work. But we haven't found the recipe yet. So we're still working on it.
We want to know it. How are you hiring your staff? What sort of attitudes and characteristic you're looking for in a person, especially in managerial roles?
Personally, I love still the old approach of passion. When I interview the staff, if they lack passion, if they have bad attitude, I'm not interested. I still believe that, we're very fortunate because what we do because we love.
Absolutely.
And that's the first question that I ask. Why are you applying for this role? Do you love this role? Do you love the idea, or do you love the idea of this role? And the answer...
What's the answer now from many people?
The answer, unfortunately, is, I need it because of. Not many people have the passion, but we can't generalize.
Yeah.
I'm still fortunate because, you see, I recruit based on word of mouth. So people that come to me is because someone told them, hey, if you have this passion, go to this company, they may be able to. So we're very lucky. However, passion is the first question. I always ask, are you passionate about ice cream? And the other night, a guy that came in, we were talking, and he was supposed to sell wines. And he told me, I don't drink wines. Well, you can't sell wines. Because if you can't give the confidence to a customer how to sell this wine, how to serve it, how to pair it, you won't be able to sell it. So if you don't drink it, it's not for you. Maybe we can see another role. So there has to be some sort of passion. There has to be some sort of right attitude. But word of mouth as well helps us because people almost know if it's worth it for them to apply or not, because we go by those rules.
Fantastic. You are an amazing entrepreneur. You launch many successful brands and businesses. How important is storytelling to launch a successful business?
Look, it's very important. I think the story is what makes a difference. Everything's got a story. I think the most important part of storytelling is obviously what makes that startup or that new business successful. It will be the story behind, because like we said before, we create emotion, we create an experience. And if if you don't have a story behind, what's the point? There's no point. So I think it's extremely important. And every successful business, I believe, has a story behind. It can be a positive story, a negative story. Sometimes the most successful business have started in a bad foot or for a bad circumstances. And as a migrant, I can say that sometimes I was rejected to do something, and I did it myself because I said, hold on, I believe in it. I still believe I can pursue that idea. And my story is good. I don't have to make it up. The story is great. Why not trying? So sometimes rejection, but with a good story behind, has helped me to launch something unique. And I launched a lot of successful businesses with their own difficulties and challenges, because nothing has been easy. and I'm still, trying to get it right most of the time. But it has been great, and storytelling has made a difference. Definitely has made a difference.
As an Italian migrant, we're talking about rejection before. Have you experienced a little bit of rejection in Australia?
Look, absolutely. I mean, it will be silly to say that we haven't or that I haven't. But it depends from the way that you take it. So I think I'm a very proud Italian. Melbourne is a great place. Australia is a great country. We got one of the largest, I think, population of Italians in Australia or outside of Italy. And the community in Australia is big, the Italian community. However, I did experience certain roadblock. And look, it's the language, it's the culture, it's the education, all the things that we don't have, because when I came here, I came when I was like 22, 23. So I did find those roadblocks. And I came to the conclusion that that's my limit, and I'll go to the limit, because I think every successful man must know his limit. And if the limit is determined because of whatever the reason is, yes, of course, I'll try to overcome it, but I'm not going to be demoralized by that or by that rejection. So I always find a way to go around it, because you see, I'm driven by rejection. So the more you say no to me, the more I push. I won't take no for an answer.
You are an entrepreneur, for sure. You're driven by rejection.
Absolutely.
Stories, podcast is called Dining Room Stories. We've asked before, what are the craziest stories that you have experienced in your career in restaurants? If you could mention a couple.
Oh, look, many stories. I guess the beauty of working in this industry is exactly the experiences that you have with customers, with staff. I don't know, there are so many stories. Now, on top of my head, I guess the best one is I got a booking from a customer, and she requested a private table because she had to fire one of her workers. And because this worker was pretty important for the company, they wanted to do it in a very good way. So she thought, I'm going to take her out for dinner. So she pretty much told me, listen, I'm going to fire this woman. I need you to be, in a private area and so forth. Well, cut long story short, they end up dating. And now these two ladies got married, and I done the wedding for them. I cooked for them, and they're still my best customers. So from something that was going to be aggro became a sweet story and a beautiful story, and I still see them as my customers and my friends. So I guess that's probably one of the best stories that I can think of on top of my head.
Fantastic. And how is the importing business going? You sell a lot of equipment for restaurants. How hard it is to start bringing all this equipment in Australia, now after COVID, all those expensive. Are these businesses still profitable?
Yes, look, I've been in the importing game for quite a while. You see, I started as a chef, and I diversified my business. I verticalized my business because I was always missing something. I was rejected. So I had to create my own. So I end up having this importing company of food, equipment, and so forth. From a business perspective, it is extremely hard. Shipping cost has increased. The time to arrive in Australia has gone from 5 weeks to 8 to 9 weeks. The current situation in the Middle East is not helping. There is a lot of geopolitical problem in the world. They are creating a lot of delays. There is wars happening. So safety has become a concern. The passage to Australia has become a challenge. In hindsight, it's still a good business, but technically speaking, is it profitable? Look, it is profitable, but it's a reduced profit. The profitability has reduced. The challenges are huge. They become bigger and bigger and bigger. The market is not responding. As we said before, COVID has opened a lot of opportunities, but also created a lot of problems. People are concerned. People are not spending. The Australian financial crisis, we got to be realistic. They may not say it on TV, but we are going through a recession. There is a problem out there. People are very skeptical in spending money. And if you're going to buy a piece of equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, you want to think about it twice. And also there is the difficulties of getting loans, so equipment finance. So everything is complex. Everything is a risk at the moment. So a financial institution have doubled up the risk assessment. People have problem with getting money, paying the bills, electricity, everything costs, and you can only pass to your customers the increase to a point. Then eventually you got to stop because you can't continue to increase. So automatically you have to stop that business, and we are facing big challenges at the moment. One of my biggest business at the moment is second-hand equipment. A lot of people prefer repurposed equipment. They want to fix old equipment. When 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they just would buy a new piece of equipment. Now they want to repurpose it. So we are going through some serious difficulties. The market is still not 100%, but we got to pivot, we got to readjust, we got to move. We still have to move and shake. You can't just be there.
Give us some tips, as a successful business owner, how are we going to come out from this situation?
Look, I think, in my humble opinion, definitely is pivoting, changing. Do not be there and be so stubborn with your beliefs and your ideas. Sometimes you gotta do what you would not like to do. But unfortunately, we are in a situation where if you stay still, nothing will change. So you gotta move. You gotta find different way of selling, different way to create revenue, a different way to create customers. Lead generating is extremely important these days. You gotta go outside your market or your comfort zone. We all want to be in the comfort of our own space, our own areas, but sometimes business is 300 kilometers away, so you got to go there and find the business. But again, every successful business, I guess, has to focus on one point. You got to give solutions. It's not about selling, Sometimes it's about telling the customer, you don't need this, but you need that, because it's a solution. And you want to be able to make the customer satisfied in order for you to go through those tough time and those tough period, because you gave your customer or your guest in your restaurant, whatever, a solution.
And what solutions are you giving to your customers for the restaurant, for Mama Boys, to be able to bring them in?
Yes, absolutely. The most important thing, like I said before, is the experience. So at the moment in my restaurant, and I can only vouch for my restaurant, I saw a decline on customers. I saw a decline on bums on seats, but we've been doing very well because we are a destination. So people come to us for an experience. Maybe they come twice a week, not 3 times a week, or maybe once a week. But when they come, we make them feel special. We make sure that they go home and they are satisfied. We give them value for money. We give them, an experience on the wine, on the food, on the service, on a special dish, or whatever. Maybe we have a drink together with them. You see, hospitality, I believe, survives these days only if it's the old school approach, where you give the customer the comfort of their home. I want them to feel at home, and that's what I work for, to make sure they have that experience.
Is hospitality a scalable business?
But look, absolutely it is. There is successful people like yourself. They are scaling up extremely well. Yes, it is, absolutely. It's all about creating the right team, the right structure, and having a clear image of what you want to achieve and where you want to go. Because it's still a very emotional business. We're still dealing with sometimes with customers that have a different expectation, and they may ask for a dish, but they don't actually know what they're buying. They just saw a picture, and they think that the picture looks like that, and they think that the flavor will be like that. But then it's totally opposite. So we have still an emotional approach, and we need to be able to determine if the customer knows what he or she is asking for, And I guess you do experience this. I have many occasions where people tell me, oh, I want to try that. And then I do know for experience, but this dish, you may not like it because you got maybe, I don't know, too many bones, if it's a fish, or, I don't know. I have this kind of feeling that I know if they may like it or not. And educating them, telling them, giving them an alternative, it makes you go a long way, because you can definitely then see in their eyes.
You're also a qualified chef. What's more important in a restaurant? Is the kitchen and the food, or the floor and the service?
From a chef perspective, I must admit, is the service.
Wow.
Because the service
That's incredible
is
to know from, from a chef.
The service is everything. Put it this way. The chef, now these days, all the kitchens are open. But 15, 20 years ago, there was no open kitchen style. You are behind a wall. You receive a docket. The docket has 4 items. You don't know who you're serving. If it's a young, old, mature person, immature, you don't know. You just cook, put on a plate, go. the floor makes the difference. The floor, the way that you present, the way that you approach, the way that you teach the person how to eat, the way that you describe your dish, it will be, for me, in my opinion, 80% of the job, 85% of the job. Of course, the food is important as well, but chef, we have a lot of egos, but the reality is a good service can always overpower a bad dish, but a good dish will never overpower a bad service. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Coming from a chef, that's a really powerful statement.
It's true.
You are the founder of Derma Consulting. You've done a lot of consulting for small businesses and restaurants, especially. What did you see? What are the main mistakes that a small business owner makes? I'm sure you've seen it recurring, and if you can mention a couple, what do you see repetitively in when you do your consulting?
Yes.
What are they missing?
Personally, I gotta answer this question in two different ways. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the biggest mistake was having an idea and don't do the homework, just try, give it a crack, see what happens. So that was the general mistake. Someone had an idea, let's do it.
A little bit of money.
Yeah, a bit of money, let's go and make it happen. But those people were resilient. So even if they failed, they would continue to push on. Today, everything is too easy. Today, people contact me, and you see, I offer 30 minutes free consultation, complimentary consultation, because in those 30 minutes, I know if you're gonna waste my time and your time. And I'm not interested in charging you. So I wanna listen to you, hear what you got to say, and then I'll tell you, okay, no, thank you, yes, thank you. Today, the biggest thing is that people don't wanna be taught. Today, people have an idea, and they say, okay, let's go, it's gonna work, but they don't know where to start. Their idea, they may have saw it somewhere, on Instagram, on TikTok, but they haven't thought about it. There's no process into it. So the biggest problem these days of any startup that I consult for is that they just have an idea, but they're not too sure, and they're not prepared to sacrifice. They just want to do it because you see today everyone calls themselves an entrepreneur. It's a trendy word. Everybody wants to do something on the side, but to me that's a side hustle. That's not a business, because then you may have a full-time job, for the bank, and then 2 hours a week you want to sell socks. Well, that's not a business. That's a side hustle. Makes you a few $100 a week. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Would you succeed? I don't believe so, because how many hours do you work? I work 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. I sacrificed all my life, my birthdays, my family reunion. It's been a sacrifice. It's been a full-on commitment to the cause. Are today the people willing to do the sacrifice? I'm not sure. And I see that to be a big problem.
What's driving you? What's driving an entrepreneur?
Me, I'm driven by passion. I had a dream. I achieved my dream. So dreams are achievable, but they require a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice. I compromised my family relationship, my wedding. I had a lot of problems to follow my dream. Because of course, if you give 100% to something else is gonna fall. So it's been a real challenge. But I was driven by my dream. I came all the way from Italy. I think 26,000 kilometers away we are, something like that. I wanted to pursue my dream. And today I can tell you that I achieved my dream. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I can actually now give up.
Was it worth it?
It was worth it. I met amazing people, great experience, developed fantastic relationship. I saw people like yourself growing and become more successful than me. And that's beautiful. You gotta look at the bigger picture. And those relationships are unbreakable. Those friendship. I know you for 10 years since you came in Australia probably. And look where we are today. Look today what you organize. So it's definitely worth it. But you gotta believe in it. And are you driven by what? I'm not driven by nothing else other than passion. And to see my journey, to see the end of the journey, I can comfortably say that every dream is achievable if you put 100%.
They say nobody is going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
100%.
What piece of advice would you give to a younger Dario? If you would have met Dario 22 years ago, arriving in Australia, what would you have said to him?
A lot of advice. I think the first advice I would tell him would be, don't start straight away, hands on, head down into your own business. Go and get some experiences, because you see, I'm self-taught, so I learned on my own expense.
The hard way.
The hard way. So I had to try, fail, start again. Try, fail, start again. So trial and error. Trial and error it's good, but it's also painful. It's also costly. I think it slows you down. It brings you 2-3 years behind schedule. But then you learn so good, so fast that you catch up along the way. So as long as you have that resilience. So number one, I would tell him, learn a little bit more before you go, straight into a business. Number two, I would tell him, try not to do too much. Because you see, of course, it's a journey. It's a learning experience. But I was so hungry for business that I took any opportunity. I didn't know how to say no. And today, you told me, it's harder to say no, because, you see an opportunity everywhere. I would look at a glass of water and I thought, I can make money out of that. I can do that. I can sell that. But comes with a price. So definitely learn how to say no. That's, I think, a very important lesson I would give a younger Dario. And number three, I would also tell him to celebrate a little bit more, because you see, growing up, building this, there was no technology, so we didn't celebrate anything. We were just, we were looking at it. It was good. We know that we achieved a lot, but we didn't celebrate the wins. Sometimes you need to celebrate the wins, because it's so painful to reach that win that when you got it, you want to celebrate it. You want to tell people, and and then give back. You gotta give it back. You gotta give it to the next person that comes along. And I do that in my team. I can't get it right all the time, but most of my team gets that celebration with me, because they achieve things better than me and faster than me, because they got the luxury to use me as they pilot. So I'm the guinea pig for them.
What's next for Dario D'Agostino? Where are you going?
My next step, to be totally frank with you, would be move to Boston, America, because I think in Australia I achieved a lot. I got a very good structure, runs pretty much on its own, but I think there is still another 10 years in me, 15 years in me, that wants to experience something else. And I'm very proud to have done what I have achieved in Australia, because Australia gives you so much. And I'm sure in some other place in the world, someone can make good use of it. I love Boston. I have a good, I really like Boston. I think it's something different. But I wouldn't mind Southeast Asia either. So definitely somewhere in the world where I want to go and try to expand, but not for anything, not because I want to grow the business, but just for my own personal growth as well.
And why not Italy?
Italy is my home, is our home. Italy is where I want to go and spend time and quality time with my family, friends, and enjoy, the last cycle of my life. Because what I don't believe is possible to do in Italy is to dream. Italy has always a problem. It's a great country, but it will always create some sort of barrier. And to be honest with you, I'm not interested in challenges anymore unless it's for something positive. And if a system rejects my dream, I don't believe the system deserves my dream. So I'll go elsewhere, which is a shame, because I love my country. I'm a proud Italian. I'm a former soldier. I served my country. However, it doesn't give us, people have dreams, the opportunity to continue to dream. So I can't share it with her.
Dario, thank you so much. For us, it was a pleasure having you in Dining Room Stories. We'll see you again. Grazie
Thank you, Omar.
mille.
Good luck.
Arrivederci.
And well done. Grazie.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Ciao. Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Omar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire.